Welcome to the Air Power Airwaves, the Air Power Manufacturing Solutions podcast series where we talk about manufacturing issues that impact you. Hey, this is Travis Stirewalt. Welcome to another episode of Air Power Airwaves. We are back in the studio today, and I have two guests. One is wearing black. This is Tom Robinson. Tom is an account manager with Air Power. In what you're out of the Baltimore area, right?
I report to the Baltimore branch, but I live in
Cockeysville, Maryland,
Philadelphia area.
Okay, good deal. Tom, welcome. Good to have you in the studio for the first time.
Thanks.
And another first-timer in the studio is Joe DeMott. Joe, how are you?
Doing great, doing great.
Joe is representing his company, Gorbel, and we're going to deep dive into that a little bit today. But first of all, I just want to say thank you for joining us for another episode. And if you want to look at any other episodes that are out there, you could go to airpowerairwaves.com or just go onto the Air Power website, and you can find all kinds of resources there. Our video library, case studies, all kinds of things in there. So we invite you to go back in there, and that is airpower-usa.com. Another quick way to get to videos is airpowerlive.com. So all those will be on your screen. And I want to shout out to Jai over there behind the camera. Jai always keeps things running smooth. Got into the studio today. Brand new mics and mic stands. He didn't even tell me, and this is going to up the game even better. So, Jai, thank you, brother. All right. So, let's go here. So, Tom, you are an account manager with Air Power, and Joe, you are
regional sales manager for Gorbel. I cover the Southeast.
All right, Southeast. What's your territory? So,
well, it's been many territories over the years, but for a number of years, I covered the Mid-Atlantic, and ultimately that's how Air Power came under my umbrella.
Okay.
And so I worked the Mid-Atlantic territory, and I got the opportunity to shift territories down to the Southeast, and now I cover Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas.
Okay. All right, good deal. So Air Power, I guess, has a few, 2 or 3 different Gorbel account managers.
Mainly 2, ultimately 3. But between the Gulf Coast states, the Southeast that I cover, and the Mid-Atlantic area, that would be 3.
Good deal. Where are you based out of?
I live in Rochester, New York, and
home of dinosaur barbecue.
Delicious.
Yes.
And 10 minutes from Fishers, New York, where Gorbel is headquartered.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, I've spent some time in Rochester and Dinosaur Barbecues. Yeah, good place.
Tasty, tasty.
If you're ever up there, by the way, listen, Texas and the South are known for great barbecue, as well as the Midwest, Kansas City. But I will tell you that Dinosaur Barbecue in Rochester, New York, they've got another one, don't they?
They
have many.
They actually started in Syracuse, New York, and then
one.
their second location was on the beautiful Genesee River right there in downtown Rochester.
You can get the big-ass pork plate at any of them.
That's right. The barbecue is fantastic, so just shout out to all those wild boars on the wall at Dinosaur Barbecue. No, they don't serve dinosaur meat.
No, we're not getting
I know
paid
somebody
for
out there is asking that, thinking about it. It's the old Fred Flintstone. They set it on the side of your car.
Rack of ribs.
Yeah, but great food. All right,
you can only park a motorcycle there.
Yes. All right, so first off, there are going to be a lot of people watching or listening that know who Gorbel is, and they just want to get more information or kind of do a little deeper dive. But for those that don't know, can you give me just a quick synopsis on who Gorbel is?
Gorbel is the division that I work for is a material handling company, and ultimately just making people's lives easier. How do you lift that part from A and put it to B, and what do you need to do that? Whether it's a crane above, whether it's a lifting device, a hoist, a intelligent lift assist device. This is our material handling world, and that's what Gorbel is in.
So there's different companies in that market space.
Oh, sure.
But just so that the viewer will know, what are we talking about? Like, as far as weight, size of product, what's the targets with Gorbel? Can we go from like a 50-pound all the way to
Right.
50 tons.
50 tons?
Most, I would say 90% of what Air Power looks at is the 2-ton and under market.
Right.
They do have the Cleveland Tramrail line, which can go significantly higher. Jib Cranes can 5 to 15 tons, but most of what Air Power gets into are those ergonomic under 2-ton applications.
Okay, so stepping to the side a little bit, so Air Power acquired Zenmar in 2020. You were a Zenmar employee at the time, right?
Not yet. I came on after the
You
acquisition.
came out after that. Okay,
Correct.
So who were you with at that time in 2020?
I was with York Hoist, a different distributor.
Okay, so a different distributor, like a competitor.
Friendly competitor, yes.
Yeah, friendly competitor, Air Power. So Zenmar, who Air Power acquired in 2020, was already a very well-known, Gorbel integrator, distributor. So you had previous experience with Gorbel.
Right. I was in Joe's role for 20 years.
Okay.
And I had actually set Zenmar up as a distributor and nursed them along to be the number 1 distributor. About 9 years after they signed on, they became the Gorbel overall number 1.
Okay.
And then again in 15, I think. So 2012 and 15, they were the overall number 1.
And I took over management of that territory in 2015.
Okay. All right.
13, I think it was. Yeah.
So then 2020, Air Power acquires Zenmar. 2021?
2020. It was July was the acquisition. September I started.
Okay, you started with us. So now you had
Right
to
in the middle
learn-
of COVID.
Now you had to get into all the stuff that Air Power has done for us.
Right, and that was
finishing.
a big reason for it. Is I had 25 years of selling cranes and hoists, doing the applications, and just wanted more diversity.
Yep.
So now having all the tools, finishing, the pumping, everything else Air Power offers, it opens a lot more doors, and
Absolutely.
I can help my customers go deeper than just cranes and hoists.
Yeah, and ultimately that's what's a good fit for Gorbel to have an Air Power, because they have opportunities not just lifting something and moving it over here, tooling, you think of all the applications that they're going to be using, and Gorbel can certainly help with that.
Yep. And I know that Air Power has been in business since 1967, and the changes over the years that Air Power has made to diversify. For so many years, all of our eggs were in that finishing basket.
Right.
And then so the branched out on the tooling side, and then the move side, or whether that be moving liquids or moving fluid, whatever, to material handling. So the funny thing was, when I started the business, it was I started in the finishing side, and you talk about cold calling. You drive into an industrial park and you would look for the stacks to see where they were, or the dust collectors, and okay, I need to go in there. I need to knock there. So for you guys,
Yeah, there's no consumables in the crane and hoist business for the
Yeah.
most part. You have your crane, and if it's a Gorbel crane, you have it, set it, you forget it. Now, if you sometimes
the only time
people
you get a call
expand
back
it
is
or
if
move
there's
it,
a repair.
right? Or they're expanding it, or they need another one, or they're modifying it. But for the most part, it's not like filters.
It's the
where
one and
you gotta
done.
go every month and change
Yeah.
a filter, or spray guns that wear out.
You would think there's so many material handling applications where you're either doing it incorrectly where you're throwing people at it and you're risking a workman's comp issue where someone's,
Exactly.
I can do this. It's 80 pounds. I got it. But ultimately, Gorbel started out, Dave Ray in 1977 started Gorbel as a material handling company doing structural I-beam jib cranes, and progressed and got very good at it. And ultimately, in the late 80s, we partnered with another company from Europe who was looking to broaden their footprint into North America.
Okay.
That partnership lasted for a number of years, but what it did was it brought about enclosed track. And enclosed track is just a fantastic way of putting an ergonomic solution to a problem. The wheels self-center, it's very ergonomic, it's 100-to-1 productivity ratio is what we call it. So if you're lifting 1,000 pounds, it's going to take 10 pounds of effort to move this load up and down the rail.
It was 100 to 1 30 years ago. It's much better than that now.
Oh, absolutely. We've done improvements to the wheels and to the bearings and to the overall design. But this enclosed track really, moved the world from just strictly jib cranes where you have, a 360 or 90 or 180 degree coverage area to now you have XY coverage, or now you have a very ergonomic solution.
Or even in XY coverage where your choices were patented track or I-beam.
Yeah, structural I-beam.
And you're trying to push an I-beam that's supposed to be a building or a bridge and make it into a crane and push it around. People didn't, so you motorized it.
Yeah, and so ultimately you have this ergonomic crane that brings about an affordable cost because, as Tom said, you really no longer need to motorize it. And so this really...
Motorization is discouraged
in
enclosed track. You want to have it manual. It's better.
Yeah. So ultimately that fueled our growth in all through the 1990s. We had our main facility in Fishers, New York, and we opened a second facility to serve the South, and that was in Pell City, Alabama. And ultimately this really fueled material handling to the point that, we looked at broadening, diversifying. We came out with a G-Force in 1998.
Okay.
And G-Force is an intelligent lift assist device. We've evolved into fall protection with Cleveland Tramrail, heavier capacity offerings over 2 ton. So it's been good.
Expanded to the Asian market, which we're Gorbel's a net exporter to China, which is an unusual. Somebody's filling the containers going back.
Tianjin, China.
Probably get a good rate on that trip compared to
a lot
the
of
other
deadheads
way.
going back, let alone.
All right, so I'm going to stop you guys there. I want to step back. It's kind of in line with what we wanted to talk about, but for those that are watching that don't know these terms and don't know what they are,
Right.
Let's hit on 2 different things here. Let's hit on a bridge crane. What is a bridge crane? Can you describe that? Well, I think you guys are going to provide us some pictures we can put up here while we're talking about it. So
a bridge crane has 2 static runways that you would have a bridge connected to each end of those runways, and the bridge can move back and forth along the runways, and within the bridge is a trolley that goes this way. So now you have X and Y coverage.
So the trolley's usually motorized as well. No, nothing's motorized?
Not on the 2 ton and under workstation cranes.
Okay.
It can be.
It can be. They offer it for certain applications, but
Yeah, I've been in big plants that have that.
sure, you got a
you know,
20-ton
down
crane up there, you want it motorized.
Yep.
But the under 2 tons, and the difference is, again, I'm going to use your pen.
Yep.
If you're
Can't believe
doing
they left the
something
pen on the table for Tom to play with.
motorized, and you want to lift a load, you're pushing the button, and eventually you get it close, and then you start lifting, and then as you lift,
Side-loading.
the load swings to under the crane.
Okay.
But with manual, similar thing, you lift, now the hoist
Self-centers.
Okay.
so your load isn't swinging.
Okay. All
So
right.
it's much safer when you're going to pick something up.
No doubt.
And even set it down, all you have to do is push it to where you want it and set it down. You don't have to worry about, pushing the buttons.
Hey, Bubba, go over there when the crane lifts up. Hold it still so it doesn't move. Yeah.
It can be a big safety concern.
The vertical is motorized. That's an electric hoist 90% of the time.
It's amazing the number of podcasts we've done that we get into safety concerns. It's just like in all these different products that Air Power is involved in, there are so many good solutions that they're not ridiculously expensive. Some of them are just good decision making and planning.
Certainly, you're going to be safer and far more productive.
Exactly.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
obviously, if you're going to hang 1,000 pounds over your head, you want to make sure it's going to stay up.
Yeah. No doubt.
So,
I don't know. My parents said I had a hard head. Might be okay. All right, so that was a bridge crane. Now let's talk about a jib crane. What was a jib? Let's describe that.
So when Gorbel started out as a crane company, they did structural I-beam jibs. I'm going to borrow Tom's
Yeah, please.
prop here.
Use the pen method.
But ultimately, if you've got a jib crane, it could be mounted to the wall and it could rotate 180 degrees. It could be a wall, a column, or if it was just a freestanding application, you can mount a mast to that floor.
This is a jib.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's got a mast that's
Rotates
mounted,
about an axis.
and you've got, you could have 360-degree coverage. So there's benefits to that. It can be rather ergonomic if you're out at the tip of the boom. It could be cost-effective if you're just buying that.
Right. You could either
Jib.
have a trolley on it,
Yeah.
or you could have it articulate like this.
So
Where you're
I've
always
seen
at the end.
these that I didn't know what they were called. But in plants that you're dealing with a lot of steel, they'll have these stations all the way down this long run, and it's movable, and then also movable this way.
Mhm.
That's what we're talking
That's
about.
a jib crane, and
Okay.
they are. That was the original workstation. Was people would put a jib crane on the building columns.
Yep.
For the guy to work on stuff in his local little area.
Yeah, because they'll bring steel down on some kind of a roller, like I-beam or whatever it is, and they'll take the jib crane out, pick it up, move it back into their work zone, and then they can maneuver it, alter it, whatever throughout the process of their needing to work on that piece.
And in some cases, the jib crane's the right idea.
Okay.
So if you're always out at the outer end of it, you have the best mechanical advantage of moving that jib crane. But the closer you get to the pivot point, the harder it is to move.
Because you're putting so much
So
stress.
If you're trying to move here, starting and stopping becomes more difficult, and that's where we get into the bridge crane, where
Okay.
it's the same.
So how far
force
back
emitter.
does it go with bridge cranes and jib cranes historically?
Prior to Gorbel, I mean,
They made them out of wood in the 1800s.
jib cranes have been around for millennia. I mean,
But as Gorbel took it on, and from Gorbel's perspective,
Gorbel
those
started
have been
it,
bread and butter like Gorbel products for a long
since
time.
1977, and then into the late 80s is when we started doing enclosed track.
Still do the-
1977 was when Gorbel started.
1977, Dave Ray founded Gorbel.
I am officially older than Gorbel.
Aren't we all?
Yes, I think everybody in this room is older than Gorbel. Okay.
But yeah, Dave Ray's parents' names were Gordon and Isabel, so it's an American company.
Okay,
named for
all
his
right.
parents, not German. A lot
wondering
of people
about
wonder
that.
where the Gorbel comes from, and that's
Gordon and Isabel.
correct.
All right, cool. Gorbel. We know now. So, over the years, Gorbel goes through changes, adds and evolves. What's the next? We talked about something called G-Force.
So yeah, we did the enclosed track, and enclosed track opens up, all these cranes bring about the platform to provide the lift, and then they would put a hoist on it to go vertical, and we would work with other manufacturers for that lifting device. In the late 90s, we came out with a G-Force, which was an intelligent lift assist device. It originally started off as about 150 pounds, and it allowed for two things: speed of lift and precision placement.
Okay.
These come about through a CPU and a servo-controlled motor, but ultimately what we found, it was something we tried just based on speed of lift, but using those components to get that speed, precision placement was a byproduct, and now is actually probably the number one reason someone wants a G-Force.
Yeah, I think precision placement and the ease of the lift to take the pressure off somebody's back and body from being damaged.
And it has a lot, all the input output that allows you to poke yoke the application to where you can have it repeatable
Okay.
with or without the operator's input.
And tooling and so on. A huge feature to help manage the load, there is a load cell in the unit. By virtue of a load cell, you know what that part weighs. And with a little bit of creative programming, they can do a function called a float mode, takes that known weight, makes it 0, and now the operator can take a pound away or put a pound on, and they can actually maneuver that load with their hands.
Yeah.
So it makes placement super easy.
That's pretty awesome technology, to say the least. All right. So that's called an intelligent assist device.
Intelligent lift assist device, right?
Okay.
And it's much different than a hoist. A hoist is just a single speed, 2-speed, variable frequency drive unit, up, down. But it's got a capacity, 1 ton, 1,000 pounds, and it doesn't draw feedback back from the operator other than just up, down.
Right.
Where the G-Force has that marriage between the operator's movement and movement of the load.
So in a G-force, like once you hook up something and you start to lift it, and you obviously need to know that it's within parameters, but when you lift it, does it sense exactly what the load is, or is this something you input?
No, it's automatically.
It's automatic.
If you go more than 125% over the capacity, it won't lift it
Okay, all right.
because it knows the weight.
It's like, nope.
And you can program that upper limit to 100%. So if it does hit 100%, it won't lift. It'll only go down.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Full of safety.
Okay. And then something else we wanted to bring up, we've got good notes here, was Cleveland Tramrail.
I was hired on March 25th, 2002, and that's the day that Gorbel acquired Cleveland Tramrail. Prior to that, enclosed track brought us to 2 ton. Enclosed track is ergonomic, right? And basically, when you got to over 2 ton, a 3 ton application, it was an opportunity that went away. We were handing it off to structural I-beam typically, or trying to move it towards a Jib Crane application. And so Brian Ray, the current owner, president, CEO of the company, he saw an opportunity with Cleveland Tramrail where if it exceeded our enclosed track offering at 2 ton, let's move them towards a Cleveland Tramrail bridge crane or monorail.
So Cleveland Tramrail is a patented track line that's
Right.
been around since the 1920s. So it's been around 100 years.
Now you said bridge crane, so is Cleveland Tramrail a bridge crane?
Or monorail.
Or monorail.
Or monorail, okay.
But instead of trying to take an I-beam, a structural shape, and make a crane out of it, this is
Purpose-built.
purpose-built crane rail. So you're going to take a plate in vertical, a plate on top, and you're going to take a hardened lower flange that's a uniform flange for the wheels to run on and weld it on the bottom. So you're building a beam to the proper capacity and span
Okay.
for the application.
Okay.
And so you take a lot of the weight out of it, you make it more uniform, spliceable. You can add on to it. It's not based on the availability of a W24 at 104 pounds a foot. It's that particular track profile.
There are a number of benefits to it, but ultimately it really diversified and rounded our crane offering because we're going to go with ergonomic enclosed track up to 4,000 pounds and over. We can go to 5 ton to 10 ton pretty simply, knowing the hoist weight and the wheel loadings and designing a cost-effective, really well-built, purpose-built crane that can handle that.
The other marriage of that was a good product. Dave Ray always admired patented track as a product, but the industry was so antiquated and the technology
there.
wasn't there. Where Gorbel's a well-managed company with crane brain and a manufacturing department that can do quick ships and very efficient, very high quality. So you take a quality product with a quality management, marry it up with crane brain, and now you can do everything from your computer, generate drawings, everything you want, and order it right online.
Yep.
So,
I love that crane.
whereas, I mean,
crane brain.
Montour Falls was
Yeah.
going back into the
Back in time.
1950s. It was
But certainly that was in 2002, and Gorbel's evolved. 2008 we moved into tether track, utilizing the benefits of enclosed track and putting it towards fall protection. So 2008 approximately, and continually evolved and improved things. 2018 we came out with a hoist, an electronic chain hoist.
Okay.
And that again is something that allows the customer to order a crane, have the hoist included with it, have it all shipped together. It shows up on the site, all one package, all one parcel, ready to go.
Nice.
Rather than historically buying a hoist from somebody else, buying the crane from Gorbel,
and at relatively the same time at your customer, and never happens.
Yep.
Just making things simple.
So knowing, I know Air Power really well. I work for Air Power. I hope I know them really well. And getting to know Gorbel more and more, what are the strengths between, I do know in our discussions we identified that there are certain things that within the Gorbel portfolio that just aren't Air Power. It's not something that Air Power really deals with. It's maybe beyond scope. Not to say that we won't at some point, but there are certain
it's just not our sweet
for
spot.
Air Power.
Correct.
So talk about that partnership. You guys know it better than anybody else because you're on both sides of the fence in the street. So you want to talk about that partnership and the sweet spots of the product lines?
I mean, ultimately, Gorbel works on an authorized dealer network. So we have, not everybody can sell Gorbel's product line. We're looking for the best people to represent Gorbel. And there's a good fit there, but ultimately there's an authorized dealer network. Dave Ray was very particular about having local representation in that area, that part of the country. You look at High Point here, and a company down the street's looking for a crane. You don't want to deal with someone halfway across the country. You want to deal with someone local. Yep. And ultimately that's how Gorbel has evolved and gained strength, is having local representation, an authorized dealer network, where we find the strengths that you have and we marry up with that. And so, you may not have a big need for Cleveland Tramrail, but you may totally embrace the enclosed track and the ergonomics of it, and the Jib Cranes, and these things are all right in your bandwidth. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that marriage. It's been beneficial to Gorbel to have that authorized dealer network and local representation, not just at the sale, but if there was a need for an expansion or if there was a service concern, let's bring that dealer in that's close by that can work on it for us.
In our world with Air Power, we have so many people that have just thought about us as we're a finishing company. We sell spray guns and spray booths and
filters.
That's who Air Power is, and it could not be further from the truth these days. And Air Power has been going through the diversification for quite some time now, not just recent, but it's been a long time.
Well, and Zenmar's our branch, Zenmar was pigeonholed as hoists and cranes.
Yep.
And
not
trying
so
to introduce them to the finishing and the pumping.
Yep.
Is challenging.
Yeah, but for you guys, for us on this end with Air Power, traditional Air Power, before we brought in Zenmar, and look at the other company we brought in, Lee Patterson out of Florida. Lee Patterson was just like, the old school Air Power, where there was just that heavy focus on finishing. But I think we have so much more to offer now with now we go into manufacturing facilities that are not doing finishing, and we're selling.
Or if they're doing everything, you've got a complete solution. You're not having to bring in somebody else.
Correct. Not having to third party that other solution.
Right. Yeah, I think when ultimately Zenmar, I think 70-80% of their sales for material handling was using Gorbel as part of their solution, and Air Power is probably 20% material handling prior, and so now you've got the benefit of those two companies coming together and spreading the wealth between the two. It's just going to be good for everybody.
But to clarify, the Cleveland Tramrail is something we have access to and promote, and it is our way to have a pre-engineered solution for that 5-ton crane that we didn't have prior to 2002 in that acquisition.
great.
We could have probably sold a patented track crane, but you'd need an engineering degree and several days to do a quote, let alone order the product. There was probably 40 people in the world that could do it prior to 2002.
Gorbel has a way of, what affectionately we call it Gorbelizing.
Gorbelizing.
You can take something and how can we make it easier and easier and easier? And that's what we've continually done for our dealers, working on our, fantastic lead times, having multiple facilities, making it easier for you for freight, and ultimately giving you tools
Crane Brain.
like Crane Brain to be able to fire up a quote. It's many times I've dealt with a dealer that has, I've stopped by to visit them, and hold on, and they take a phone call, and right there on the phone call, I've seen them print up a quote, take care of the quote, design it, send it to him, and hang up the phone, and he goes, I'm sorry about that, but there's another reason why I love Gorbel, is you guys give me the tools to, while that guy is nibbling at the hook, I'm able to reel him in.
Yep.
I have several customers with Crane Brain Access that I've trained, and they can go into Crane Brain and design their own cranes because they're so familiar with the product, and it is that easy.
So let's expand on Crane Brain a little bit, because I don't think we've really said exactly what Crane Brain is.
The online quoting and ordering tool that generates pricing, lead times, drawings, CAD drawings.
It's intuitive. It's logical. Just you start with, what coverage do I want? What kind of height of boom what kind of height do I want for that jib crane? What kind of reach do I want for that jib crane? What capacity? You plug in those variables, and it's designing it. It's putting the right size mast. It's putting the right size depth of boom.
You don't have to pick sizing, and if you go outside the parameters, it'll tell you you've exceeded the parameters.
Right. Choose
or
another
if
value.
you choose a bridge length that's not a standard, it'll tell you price points are at this and this.
Does Tom's head pop up and go,
It should. I think there's people who could picture that
I
at
can't.
a time.
Look how quickly I grabbed that one.
We want to be respectful to our dealers, so we don't have a picture of Tom.
Yeah, you don't have a picture of Tom, period.
It would be a neat feature. But Tom's right. There's opportunities. We put dollar signs at certain values. So if someone chose a 24-foot bridge, it may give a dollar sign.
It'll give you a price for that 24-foot bridge, but it'll tell you 23 is a price point. So
there's an opportunity to save some money.
You can save a lot of money.
Different value.
Good.
It's fantastic. I mean, there are many, many, many dealers that would prefer to do work on their own, and they don't have to call Gorbel for a quote. They can fire, as I was last night at 11 o'clock, I was on Crane Brain taking a look at some things. It's 24/7.
80 miles an hour down the interstate doing Crane Brain.
Not Joe DeMott.
Oh, no, I don't know.
No.
No, not me.
No, we do not endorse that either.
But it's a fantastic tool, and it allows our dealers that kind of access, that kind of ability to perform their quote, get a drawing, not just a representative drawing, get an actual PDF or an actual DWG to scale, giving them all the tools to take care of their customer.
Good deal. All right, guys, I think we covered it.
It's been a true honor. I'm glad you invited us in. It's good to see Tom.
Yes.
But yeah, it's great to be working with Air Power.
Good deal. Joe, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Travis.
Tom, as always, pleasure.
See you, Travis.
Tom, it's good to see you.
Jody.
Tommy,
yeah.
there we go.
Jody
and Tommy.
We'll just say Tommy boy.
All right. Joe and Tom, you guys had a great time with you guys here today. So, thank you for watching this edition of Air Power Airwaves. Just say a couple things. 1-800-334-1001 if you have any questions at all. I would encourage you to go to our website, airpower-usa.com, and go on the brands page. And when you're there, there should be a brands page for Gorbel. And that'll give you some more information on Gorbel as well. Again, that phone number, 800-334-1001. give us a call and say you want to talk about Gorbel products and you need somebody to come talk to you about a solution. And other than that, thank you for joining us on this episode of Air Power Airwaves. And remember what I always say when I close out, manufacture it a great day.
Thank you for joining the Air Power Airwaves Podcast. Air Power Airwaves is a production of Air Power Inc. and Air Power Live Studios and is hosted by Travis Stirewalt. For more information, please visit airpowerairwaves.com. For more information on all of our products, brands, and manufacturing solutions, please visit airpower-usa.com. If you have any questions or need product support, please contact Air Power at 1-800-334-1001.